Hey guys, I'm on the streets of Bergen. One of the things I love about this city is the street art.
So here we are, walking the streets of Strawberry. Walk along. It's pretty quiet. There's nobody here. It's not like in Norway where I see Mia walking down those beautiful alleys and there's people and then there's like art up on the walls. So I'm gonna see if I can find any art. I don't think we have any street art around here. We barely have streets. Mysterious gnomes. Looks like someone's doing some rock balancing here. I like it. Nice.
This one is one of my favorite ones, and there's graffiti on it. Street art with commentary. Kind of nasty commentary. Zeros and ones, ones and zeros, zeros and ones.
But what we do have is this amazing display of natural art. I love the texture of all trees, but the ponderosa pine, these scrub oak, like some kind of map or terrain. That may be my favorite. The alligator juniper, alligator skin. Look at that. It looks digital, like almost pixelated.
Alan, this one's for you. Sometimes I'm just walking down an alleyway and then I run into something. It's kind of funny. What I love about street art is sometimes you don't have to look for it. You don't have to find it. It finds you.
You know, you take the S and the T out of street art, and I guess, I don't know, you get tree art. This here's one of my favorites. I love this big arching branch, so different from Norway.
Well, I'm sorry. I was trying to turn that your phrase of street art to tree art. You can see me do I really know how to spell? Take off the S and the T.
Well, there's a strange link between I think we're riffing off of the fact that nature inspires and the public space inspires, right? So from tree to street. I mean, if it doesn't work in the spelling kind of way, in the letters kind of way, at least it works for me in the thinking kind of way. Because I guess it makes me think about where we get our inspiration and what role does art play in the worlds that we move through, right?
Yeah, and then sometimes you have to, look to find it. Although, when I was doing it, I was thinking it's not really street art because, the whole idea of street art's in a public place. And, where I was going to is pretty much residential. So, finding little things like stacked rocks is it's just stuff people do in their yard. But, like you say, it's, eye of the beholder sort of thing.
Yeah, you kind of discover things and your creativity sort of is sparked. And the spaces around us are like the canvas from which we work and from which we are inspired. So I kind of like that blend that we were playing with together.
So I'm going to ask you, I've been noticing, Mia, that you don't say Bergen, you say Bergen, or
I don't know. That's because I've been corrected many times.
No,
yeah.
It's I'm impressed. So I was going to say other things in Bergen, but I'm going to say it wrong. So I can't even spell street, So.
Well, if you're from Bergen, then you're Bergenser. So I try as much as possible to sound a little bit like what it seems like the locals, how they say it. But maybe I'm still not saying it quite right.
Well, if you're from Strawberry, I think you're a strawberrian.
I want to be a strawberrian. It sounds delicious.
It's been pretty nice this week. But what's going on with your class, or what's coming up with your class this week?
Well, this week we're, I think, going to do a deeper dive into close readings of digital art. And I think we'd like to look at some of the genres and how they play out for the artists, for the participants, for the viewer, so to speak. So we'll be looking at installations and the distinction between something like an installation versus internet art. We're going to be thinking about medium and how that sort of directs the expression of art.
Hmm.
So that should be fun. I think we'll also do a little bit of more public activities, and so that lecture can be slightly interactive as well. So I'm looking forward to this week, sort of drumming up some energy and some creative flow for the students as well.
And how cool you had that Leo was there this week, right?
Yeah, it was really a great conversation. We had a nice preview of electronic literature, which will be something we pick up on later in the semester. And Leo, of course, agreed to visit us in the studio. So we'll have a studio visit with him in the future. But it also was very affirmative, because he was talking a lot about a notion of generational waves of electronic literature and artists making literature in the digital medium. And he talked about this generation, the third generation, being much more participatory, and that there are much lower barriers for access in terms of digital art production. And in many ways, I think our class itself is an embrace of that very notion. And our class is a showcase of third generation digital art production. That's what I see the work that we're doing together as. So I kind of like the lecture, because it kind of set up a sense of the community we're building and the work we're doing together.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's it's a little bit, I mean digital art is so big, and so how to I think I'm just trying to sort of like raise some questions or awareness, that people look at some things, and not as much getting into the theory as much. And this week you did your meme stuff last week, and so I'm going to introduce it this week. And but I actually want my students to like not just make the memes. I have some exercise set up where they're actually going to have to sort of get into the idea about memes being self-referential, which is really subtle. But like once you start saying it, and the way they kind of mutate, it really gets to the whole biological metaphor. And then I'm also trying to frame a discussion around this episode of Black Mirror, which is like the perfect dystopian series, except like it's on Netflix. Not everybody has Netflix, so as a little bit of play, I'm asking my students, if you have Netflix, watch it. If you don't, do everything you can. There's enough articles written about this episode. It's season 3, episode 1, called Nosedive, and it's one about the society where people rate each other, and this woman's trying to elevate her rating, and she goes the other way. And so there's some great kind of subtle messages about this whole idea about what happens when all we try to do is earn each other's rating, and how people don't really express their feelings or their anger. And that was her downfall. She got angry. So we're going to have a discussion about that. And then my little brainstorm I had tonight is that they're going to do some memes based on that episode. That'll be interesting to see what you guys put out there. And I'll invite, I hope that invitation can be extended to my students as well. For sure, there's a lot of buzz in the back channel about Black Mirror. One of my students early on was recommending it to the whole class. So I'm glad you tagged season 3, episode 1, called Nosedive. And then we can look at the stream to see what kinds of things are coming out of New Jersey in terms of a kind of meme response. And we'll invite everybody to do that if they'd like. And that will be another kind of angle on learning this week for sure. Episode and thinking about it. And the activities for this week, I'm moving to structure them in the new Make Bank. So the specific assignments will be there for anybody who wants to take them on.
Yeah, that's great. The Make Bank will be rolled out this week in our arena as well, so that they are aware that it exists and then understand how it works. So we'll be using the Make Bank in lab for sure. That's cool. Yeah, I feel like every week I just like spraying my students with more tools and things, but it's important for them to learn. I mean, last week they learned about the Wayback Machine, and so like most of them hadn't even come across that before. And it's like, how can you not know? That's like an essential tool for operating on the internet, to find websites that are no longer present or have changed. It's critical. It is. Yeah. It is critical. It's the archive that should. I mean, it's the archive, and it should be known. It should be known how to access it, how to recover things. Absolutely. So Cool. So much stuff.
Yep.
And lots of synchronicity between the two courses and the two experiences and conversations. And hopefully we'll see this further blending going on this week.
Yeah, it's be good because the Twitter activities really picked up, and it was really great last week that some of your students participated in our Twitter chat. So the more we can have like these kind of nice collisions is really good.
Yeah, most definitely. And I also think that we should just be thinking about Emilio's studio visit, not this week, but next week,
Yeah.
because that one's going to be great.
Yeah, he's brilliant. You're going to love him.
Yeah. And I know that we have digital artists in both arenas, as I keep calling them. So hopefully, there'll be students from both communities that come out to speak with Emilio about practice and about what it means to be a digital artist today.
That's right. Because everybody should be a digital artist.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the new street to make art on. It's digital.
That's right. Our street is the internet.
There it is.